dream. My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. In what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
What's the name of our school? We need to listen to our hearts, right?
We should celebrate it because he deserved it. He risked his life for us to have a voice to speak up against racism.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Oh So Curious Show times DCU Daily. First off, we would like to shout out Ashley Beckman for that wonderful video at the show. Thank you for that. But we are here to talk about all sorts of news and DC stuff and MCU stuff and a lot of great stuff. We got some Mission Impossible teasing. We got some, apparently, Cap 4 had their post-credit scene leaked, and we are attributing David Lynch even more in the days after his death, especially today because it is his birthday. We're going to be getting into quick hits about MCU, about The Boys, about Christopher Walken on Severance, possible sequels to MCU stuff, and we're going to be reviewing not one, not two, but 3 movies today. 2 Man movies, Wolfman and Better Man, and then Back in Action, which I did have a little bit of a rant last week, and I apologize for that. Sorry, Cameron Diaz. But then obviously we're going to be getting into DCU stuff and a little bit of more MCU stuff. But let's get started with the show right now. Oh my God, we got so much news for you guys. Well, not really. We actually have very little news. When Dan gave us the rundown for today, we saw less than 400 links, which was definitely shocking. So
yeah, only $3.99. It was great.
It
Good
was
job,
great. But we're going to be getting into new stuff. But first off, Liz, how are you doing today?
Hey, everybody. I am well. Happy MLK Jr. Day. Very excited to finally get to talk to you guys about some movies, especially Better Man. But yeah, happy to be here. Hi, everyone. Please hit those likes. Hit those likes.
We got to have the likes, guys. But are you ready for the news? Are you ready for Ryan Gosling to sing?
I'm
Because
ready for it.
I know I am. Dan, hit the clip.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay, first things first, we got to talk allegedly and heavily on allegedly is the final reckoning. Let's talk about Mission Impossible. Apparently, the director, aka Christopher McQuarrie, who has directed the past 3 Mission Impossible films, apparently someone almost had a heart attack during an action sequence, which, yeah, that's I don't know what to say about that. I'm curious what that means. Like, okay, I'm just trying to like, because I don't want to like word this improperly when it comes.
I mean, almost doesn't count. That's how I'm reading it. Almost doesn't count.
So, okay. Did they have health problems before this? That's the thing I'm curious about. That's the thing I'm wondering. Like, okay, if it was like healthy 20-year-old going into it, almost legitimately has a heart attack, then yeah, problematic. But if it was like a 90-year-old who just really likes Tom Cruise and they come in and they watch the movie, so I'm like, interesting. Or is it just, are we just like being like hyperbolic with this? Because
I mean, I read it as hyperbole for sure. It's it's the same as like Taylor Swift's fan base every time she does something. I'm dead. I died. I'm dead. So I don't. It's hyperbole. If the way you read it. But again, like I said, almost doesn't count. That would be my response to that individual. And said, well.
He said, we had a small screening. I was suffocating throughout the entire sequence. I almost had a heart attack. Okay. Because
So he choked on a kernel of popcorn. And
I mean, well, I don't know if it was like an actual like movie theater type of thing, or if it was just a screening for like executives and stuff like that. But I mean, I would take a guess it's probably the sequence where like Tom Cruise is in the lake in the trailer where he's like hunting for the key. Because that's my guess, because that would be very like where you would like hyperventilate a lot. But
I mean, maybe that person did what I do in the theater. Whenever somebody goes underwater, I hold my breath for the same amount of time to see if it's realistic. Like, if, you know what I mean? Maybe they were trying that thing themselves to test out the, just, it's almost like in that Fast and Furious when they're driving down that runway for an hour, same kind of thing. Like, could this person really be under the water for 20 minutes? Probably not. It's, again, it's hyperbole. I mean, that's great. They want to use that quote to promote their film. I don't know that it's necessarily, what I would use to promote it, but okay, that's how they want to go.
I mean, like I remember like they would use like I feel like they would use like that's like a 70s tactic of like I remember like Last House on the Left was like that was like kind of the part of it where it was like remind yourself it's only a movie, keep saying it to yourself, it's only a movie. That was like the repetitious tagline that they had, so to get people, oh my god, it's so scary that you have to remind yourself it's a movie, like type of thing. I feel like that's kind of this, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited for the movie. Like, it still looks great. Like, I'm super stoked for it. Thanks, Geeky Guy, for the super chat.
We will get to that.
We'll get to that when we're talking DC. So just be patient. But yeah, I'm super stoked for this. I have loved all the Mission Impossible movies except for the second one, but nobody likes the second one. But you know, all of them except that one are pretty damn good movies. Some better, a lot of them better than others. But you know, I would say Mission Impossible is probably the most consistent franchise I've ever seen. Like even then, like Mission Impossible 2 isn't like the worst thing ever. It's just like not what it should have been for the time. Like you're going from Brian De Palma espionage film to John Woo. It's like not, you gotta like wait a couple minutes to like, you know, just not have that immediately. But even then, I'm stoked for the final reckoning. I'm stoked for the action sequences. I'm just, you know,
this article does hint that this is supposedly going to be the last Mission Impossible.
I mean, they say final.
Listen, I'll believe it when I see it. Tom Cruise is do this until he's 90. He's got nothing else going on in his world. So I highly doubt this is the last we're gonna see of Ethan Hunt and the crew. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, like, I mean, I like Tom Cruise. He seems like a nice guy from what we've heard, that he's a relatively nice guy, outside of the obvious thing. But it's just, I can't imagine him like giving the reins to somebody else.
No.
Because they tried to do that with Mission Impossible 4. Like there was I don't know if it was a rumor or it was confirmed that like Jeremy Renner was supposed to get the franchise. Like he was supposed to be like the main guy, but then due to, I think, I would assume the tirade of like the Avengers doing well, because Ghost Protocol came out a year before the Avengers came out. Tom Cruise not wanting to let go of the franchise and a whole bunch of other things that change that up. So, you know, whatever it is, I you know, still excited. Whatever. If it was like actually like heart attack levels, then all right, that's a little alarming. Not thing to sell you.
I mean, I mean, but you know, if it's that intense, that's going to be great too. I'm looking forward to being in my chair like this, nervous as all hell to see what's going to happen. But I mean, again, that just bodes well for marketing, for the numbers, for butts and seats, for the theaters. That, you know, I hope everyone goes out and sees it on the big screen.
Just, you know, make sure to keep the ambulance nearby, I guess.
Yeah. I can't imagine what the popcorn rating for it on Rotten Tomatoes is going to be awesome. So that's great.
Yeah. But next thing we're going to talk about is the alleged Captain America Brave New World post-credit scene. I'm going to throw this up because
it makes me so mad. I don't even want to talk about it.
Who knows if it's real or not? I'm just throwing that up just in case. So if you really don't want to know,
people, it's rude.
Just okay. Here it is. Just okay. So apparently, the post-credit scene for Captain America: Brave New World is Nick Fury in Sam Wilson's house, and he shows him files of other heroes and tells Sam to assemble a new Avengers team in the MCU. Again, as Dan is saying, take this with a grain of salt, but I'm still showcasing a spoiler warning just in case. You're the MCU lady here, so what are your thoughts, Liz?
I'm annoyed that people are spoiling things for people. It's not fair. We know there's going to be a post-credit scene. There's probably going to be 2. There's probably going to be a mid and a post. And I think people need to keep secrets to themselves and shut up, because that you just spoil it for the fans. We're going to sit there with full bladders and our legs crossed and our knees bouncing, you know, trying to get through it because we're dedicated and that's what you do. Everybody knows the rules. So fine.
You have a soda cup next to you. It's fine. You could just.
Oh my God, stop. So fine. If it is, great. I mean, I'm looking forward to what files may be shown, if we want to speculate, it's probably going to be people from Thunderbolts because that's the next, film coming down the line.
I don't
But we'll see.
know,
We'll see.
but obviously we'll see. By the way, this is totally a ripoff of the 2016 Suicide Squad post-credit scene. I'm just gonna say
Yes.
that.
That's
Look who's copying who now. Anyway, I mean, if I had to take a guess, like, here's the thing: somebody actually made a really good video. I forget who made it. Maybe I'll try to find it later on. But someone made a really good post. Like, they've been setting up Avengers for a while, obviously, but like specific characters that came up during like the 70s and the 80s was like, you had Sam Wilson's Captain America, you have She-Hulk, White Vision, Hercules, Star Fox, a lot of these characters that have been teased already and that are part of the quote unquote new Avengers. So I would imagine some of the, probably not Hercules, because they set up he was going to be a bad guy and they haven't done anything with that yet. So probably not him, even though it would make sense. So that's what I imagine it's going to be, like characters like that, like nothing huge, but not like, maybe but Ironheart would be more so the Champions movie, aka Young Avengers, that's coming out.
Right. Well, and again, Ironheart is coming out as well. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So
just before we move on, I just wanted to point out, we did mention this in the chat as well, but that initial MLK Jr. tribute was done by Ashton Gleckman. So we just want to make sure to give him his flowers for that one. Really nice.
Yes, I did mention that, but
yeah,
we also were going to say it again because they deserve praise, because it's a very good clip. So thank you for that. But anyway, no longer spoilers. We're going to move on to David Lynch. More tributing from the American Film Institute. You probably know them from their lists and top 100s and whatnot. But David Lynch was an American original, and the stories are true. As a foundational fellow at the American Film Institute, he lived in the stables of Greystone while filming his AFI thesis film, which would become Eraserhead. Across decades, David's impact on cinema proved indelible in his films and his art, and he always gave back to AFI, supportive of the storytellers who wrote their own rules and reached for something different. During a seminar on campus, he shared his timeless advice with fellows: tell the stories that are inside you. Each person has these stories that come along. Just stay true to those ideas and enjoy the doing of it. He will live on in our dreams. And, we just wanted to tribute David Lynch on what would have been his 79th birthday. Just another reason to tribute a legend after his passing. Just believe it was 4 or 5 days ago now. Depending on whenever you're watching this, but yeah, giving a lot of love to David Lynch. And another reminder, you can watch all of David Lynch's daily weather reports. I was watching these during lockdown too. I was subscribed to his channel, and it was amazing. Like, I'm like, I don't care about the weather. I don't care about LA weather, but I do care about David Lynch. So I will watch these.
Oh, cool.
So I watched those for about a year and a half, I think. I don't know if I watched it for the full 2 years, but please do.
Yeah, go back and check it out. It's just adorable.
I think it's so David Lynch Theater. He's been doing it for years. Like, he did it like as early as like the 2000s. Like, he would do that a lot. Like, he had like a shitty camcorder that he would do it on. I don't know like where he would upload them or anything, but he did it for years.
No, I love it.
So what a legend. We love David Lynch. We will forever love David Lynch. Always in our hearts forever, no matter what. Always in our dreams. Always in our nightmares even. But yeah, that is that's it for the news today. Not a ton of news, but we just wanted to give a little love to some of our favorite boys and gals.
Hosey in the chat wants to know, what would you recommend as the first film to watch in David Lynch's collection if you've never seen any of his work before? And that's a question that I need answered as well. I've not seen any of his work either.
Now, I'm not like a David Lynch like super nerd or anything. I've only seen about 3 of his movies, but from what I know, from as someone who is friends with David Lynch super fans, the one, and just doing research from like, just seeing all the stuff now that he's passed. The one I see the most is Blue Velvet.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the least weird, maybe. I watched it. I thought it was good. I didn't care for it that much. I prefer Eraserhead, but that's just, I just love the surrealism of that. But that's like later on. I would say Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks are probably the best introductions to his filmography. I would say if you're into like sci-fi and you're kind of into schlock, I would say maybe watch his Dune adaptation. I know it's been getting a lot of love as of recent now with the Villeneuve.
I do want to watch that as well. Yeah, I do want to check it out to kind of compare. But it would be. I think it's interesting to see what they did with the technology at the time and to see how they,
the shields are amazing. I'm just gonna say that. I won't ruin it for you, but just the shields are amazing. But the main problem with Dune was that, David Lynch wanted to at least try to adapt the book properly, but Dino De Laurentiis, he's like, you can only make it 2 hours, 16 minutes. 2 hours, 60 minutes. That's all you got. He's like, part one. He's like, nope. Entire book has to be 2 hours, 16 minutes. He's like, okay. So pretty much the first half of the book is like 2 acts of the movie, and like the rest of the book is in like the third act. So it's very poorly rushed and very poorly paced. So keep that in mind. But
yeah, well, again, back then they were not churning out 3-hour films without a fight. So
okay. But to answer your question, it's probably Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks are probably the ones to start with. Then you can get into like kind of the weirder shit later on.
Yeah, but, no, Twin Peaks and Dune is definitely on my list, so I will add Blue Velvet to that as well.
Yeah, but now, guys, we're moving on from news, but now we gotta get into quick hits. Get that fucking elevator music on, and let's go. So first things first, just
you're
going over
John,
the year.
You're kind of low there.
Oh, am I?
Okay. No, you're better now.
Okay. So we're just going through all the stuff we're getting this year from Daredevil, Captain America: Brave New World, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, just like the 9 projects that are coming. Fantastic Four, Ironheart, Thunderbolts, everything. What are you most excited for? I'm curious to know your thoughts because you're the MCU fan here.
Thunderbolts and Daredevil are all that I care about at this moment. So excited for Daredevil. I'm so excited for Charlie Cox. He wants to play this role until he's 90, and I hope that he does. Thunderbolts looks amazing. Can't wait for it. Can't wait to see how everything connects with one another. Again, gonna see Brave New World. I hope that I like it. I'm very excited for the popcorn bucket and cup that are coming to my theater. I already have one on reserve, so I'm ready to go there. At least the toys will be fun. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would say the only one. I mean, I'm curious about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Is it gonna be bad? Probably, but
yeah,
I'm still at the very least like curious about it. And then Daredevil, I want to be good so badly.
Well, and I'm looking forward to John Bernthal, for Punisher being in the show a little bit as well. That'll be great.
So there's that, and then Fantastic Four. Again, the most for any of these projects, I'm like, I want them to be good. I don't know if they will be. Yeah. I'm not expecting them to be good.
Well, Fantastic Four, I feel the way you feel about Superman. That's how I feel about Fantastic Four. I want it to be good. I hope that it's going to be good, but I'm really concerned that it won't be. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think Superman will be bad. I just think it's like Superman is just such in a weird place right now.
Yeah.
That like in the pop culture zeitgeist I'm mainly about like the pop culture side of things. That's what I'm mainly worried about. But that's, this ain't quick, guys. Let's move on to the next thing. So, this is his new one of the 10 trillion suits he has in the movie. Thoughts?
I hope he stole a version of every one of them, because that's what I would do in his position. I don't know why he needs so many costume changes. I mean, the movie is going to be over 2 hours.
No,
or is
not.
it over? No, it's going to be less. It's going to be less than 2 hours.
It's going to be hour 58.
So is it going to be like the Oscars, where every time he goes off screen, he comes back and he's in a new outfit? I don't know.
No clue.
Hopefully they give us some type of explanation. I hope it's not a situation where he's literally just in different outfits and they say nothing about it. Is it a situation where every fight he gets into, something gets destroyed or torn or is unsalvageable, so he has to switch to something new? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great for the toys, though.
I didn't realize Hugo Millie was in the chat. Hi, Hugo Millie. But yeah, it's just like they want to sell these goddamn toys. So It's like it's the same thing they did with all the Spider-Man movies where they gave him 3 suits in a movie for no reason. Like, oh, here's the Night Monkey suit, here's the initial suit, and here's the original Steve Ditko black and red design. Why? Because why not? We gotta sell toys, guys. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna look great on screen, but I'm not expecting, a good movie.
I want them to change his glasses up. I hate his glasses. I hate his glasses /
looks like
goggles
Bono,
/
and that's not a compliment.
Yeah, I don't like them. They don't look nice. So hopefully they give him a new pair of shades. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Next up, Boys showrunner says they're still writing scripts for the final season, but he's not worried. They're about half written. Honestly, the show feels like it's always half written. That doesn't really scare us. You're always rewriting these things up until the day before they shoot, and sometimes the day they shoot, not the thing you should really be flexing. So filming began last November.
I mean, it's normal. It's a normal thing. Actors talk about it all the time. Rewrites, they get pages day of. It's a very normal thing, particularly for TV shows. So this is not a concern of mine. We're not going to get political, but I have a feeling they are waiting to see how things play out in this country politically.
With that, especially with that second image, like
as the weeks and months go on, I'm sure they're going to make adjustments accordingly to what is happening in real time, because that's also very on brand for them. So.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm not concerned about it. It's because again, that's just par for the course when it comes to TV. So
yeah, I mean, I gave up on this show like back in season 3. It just became like a shell of its former self, which was not very much to begin with. So I'm like, whatever. But happy that people still like it.
I love it.
It's a show anyway. Christopher Walken says he doesn't have Apple TV Plus and hasn't seen every episode of Severance. They send me DVDs. This is just based.
That's also so weird to me. I hear this all the time from actors and from various podcasters and stuff too, who are on like big shows. Like, how is that not automatically written into your contract? If I'm on a show for Apple TV Plus, I should automatically be given an Apple TV membership for free. If I have a show on Spotify, I should automatically get a Spotify membership for free. Like, it's so weird to me that people don't have access to their
he
own
actually gave
stuff.
his reasoning. It was like, I don't know how technology works.
No,
He's
and
like,
that's
I don't
fine.
have
I mean,
the
that,
supplies
yeah,
for
that
it.
all of that aside, like that's fine. And again, that's a normal thing too. There are so many actors that don't watch their own things. Jennifer Aniston has never watched a single thing that she's been in.
Jesse Eisenberg has it. I know.
Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin. I'm drawing a blank on his real name, but Rick from Walking Dead.
Andrew
He
Lincoln.
has never. Thank you. He has never watched a single thing he's ever done, even at Comic-Con when they have showings of stuff. He will either leave the stage or he'll just like look with his head down, like he will not watch. So that's, again, this isn't anything.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes it's just like watching yourself or watching something.
But give the man a membership. Send somebody from your.
Give him a laptop. Like
over.
fucking like normal corporate jobs give you like a fucking laptop or a PDA or something.
I'm just saying, send somebody from the Genius Bar over to set him up and for goodness sake. But oh well.
But to be fair, he's old. He doesn't give a fuck. It's Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken never gives a fuck.
No.
But I just think that was pretty funny. And then allegedly, this is grain of salt time. Shang-Chi 2 and Doctor Strange 3 will reportedly begin filming in 2026. These are fake posters, by the way. I call 100% bullshit on this, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, we've been waiting for Shang-Chi for a while, so if that's true, wonderful. Happy to see it. Can't wait to watch it. Doctor Strange, they burned me with freaking WandaVision Part 2 is what I call that movie. So hopefully they have addressed the error of their ways and have changed. If we are going to get a third one, I don't know. And I feel bad saying this, but I don't know that Doctor Strange needs multiple films of his own. Like, let him be in a side character, let him randomly show up and help out.
I think it's because
everything.
I think it's because they have Benedict Cumberbatch. They're like, we have to give him movies because he's an A-lister.
But again, he can come in as an aside, whatever. He didn't exactly help out our boy Peter Parker too well. So I just
to be fair, that was mainly Peter Parker's fault as to why the multiverse nearly was exploded. So
I'm just saying. I don't know that. And I certainly don't see him as a fan favorite to the point that it merits getting more shows.
I don't see Shang-Chi as a fan favorite either.
Well, Shang-Chi hasn't been given a fair shot, in my opinion. But also, we have to see how his storyline ends up getting into the rest of the MCU as well. So I'd rather have a Shang-Chi than another Doctor Strange. He's had his time. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's just like that they promised something in Doctor Strange 3 or is Doctor Strange 2 with Clea, so it's like, all right, clearly you're doing something, so it's like but that's it for Quick Hits. Thank you for joining us for Quick Hits, but now we got to get into movies, guys, because Liz has seen a whole bunch of movies and she needs to yell her heart out to the heavens, talking about first things first. It's talking about Wolfman. Now
Wolfman,
I didn't get a chance to see this one, unfortunately, so we're just kind of what are your thoughts on Wolfman? We've heard mixed things from various people, so I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So off chat, you guys, John had asked me how I felt about it, and I said you asked me if I liked it, and I said, well, here's the thing. I thought it was fine, but I don't watch these films enough to really be able to compare it to something else or to kind of put it on along the lines of like, it was good in this sense or that sense. I thought the pacing was well with it. It kind of kept things moving throughout. I don't want to spoil too much, but I know, John, you were concerned about how they did the hair and makeup and what the overall look would be. And I thought they did a fine job with that. It made sense. As far as the main character's transition from into the Wolfman. It was good. There were a lot of jump scares to be expected. Some pretty bloody things. I will say all of the actors did the classic horror movie thing where like every decision they made was the wrong one, which was, it's always annoying for me because I'm in the theater like, why would you do that? But it is what it is. I've never been in that situation before, so maybe, who knows? Maybe I would make some mistakes along the way as well. But I will say, again, historically, I'm a big fan of continuity. Continuity is a big deal to me. So I did say to John in the beginning, this is kind of a spoiler. When we first encounter the Wolfman, he's in the middle of the road in the woods, and our cast comes upon him and ends up in a car accident because he's standing in the middle of the woods out of nowhere, and he's got no clothes on. Just looks like a Wolfman in the middle, like a Sasquatch almost in the middle of this road. Then later on, as he's attacking the family, he's fully clothed. He's got a jacket on, and it was one of those where I'm in the theater like, okay, wait a minute. So either there are multiple Wolfman, which never happens. We don't see that. We don't see them being attacked by multiple variations of this creature. Or at some point, this Wolfman decides to put a jacket on. later on
Or like you just went to
in the
Old
evening.
Navy and just was like,
Right,
"Yo,
it was very
I
like,
need an outfit."
and there's a reason why he was in the outfit that he was in, but again, when an hour ago we saw him fully naked, like, come on. Uh, and then also, you know, again with the special effects, with the hair and makeup, there were certain parts where and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Please help me. The
Christopher
main
Abbott.
actor, Christopher Abbott, thank you. Who, by the way, is gorgeous in Craven. If anyone gets a chance to see it, just for him, I highly recommend it. He was wonderful. He as he's transitioning into the Wolf Man, there are times when he's like gnawing at something or biting something, and that was the only thing for me throughout the entire film that seemed really, really fake. Like the perspective was off. Like it literally looked like he was eating something, but like that his head was like a foot away from whatever object it was that he was dining on. So that was that kind. I'm in the I'm like, well, that looks funky. But other than that, you know, again, it's just your classic little, you know, late night jump scare, freaky, you know, monster movie. Um, I won't spoil it any further than that, but I mean, again, it was entertaining for the most part. Like I said, the pacing was good. There was no point where I was, you know, you're sitting there bored or like, okay, get on with it.
Not to
And
my friends who watched the movie; they were fucking bored out of
but
their
again, like I said, I
goddamn
don't watch these
minds.
normally, so I really don't have much to compare it to. I know you know, some people had said, you know, it was like borderline goofy for them, which is the only reason I finally decided to go see it, because I was like, oh, if everybody's saying that it's like goofy and like cheesy, then okay, then I'll be fine with it. I don't know that I felt that way, but again, I don't watch enough of these types of films to really have a way to compare. But all of the actors were good. Even the young girl in it, I thought she was going to be annoying because I really didn't care for her in the trailers, but she was fine as well. So, you know, if you've got something, you know, got nothing to do one afternoon, you want to go check it out, I recommend it. It's not the worst thing I've seen. But again, I also don't watch these regularly to give you a fair
Yeah,
assessment.
that's fair. Because it's like, you know, because that was the thing I was like kind of like worried about. I mean, it's entirely possible I'll be, you know, in the minority of like, oh, you know, the movie is, you know, everyone else thinks the movie sucks, but I think the movie's okay. But you know, whatever it is, I still plan on seeing it. That's why, you know, Liz is being very nice right now, not giving me any, you know,
I
major
really don't like
spoilers.
spoiling things for people. I really encourage anybody to go
Even though
see
it says
films in
spoiler
theaters
review
if
at the
you
bottom.
can. Yeah, but still, I really want people to go to the theater and see it. I'm tired of so many people with the attitude of like, oh, I'll wait for it to come to streaming. Like, leave the house, gang. Leave the house.
But
And
times are
you know,
tough, to be fair.
yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, if you're into these kinds of movies, give them your hard-earned dollars. Show your appreciation.
Yeah, because when any movie makes money, it's always a win for the theater. That's what I always
It's
say.
true. Exactly. So yeah.
But we talked about Wolfman. Let's talk about something a little bit better, right? Let's talk about a better man than a Wolfman, you know? So Liz, go off, girly. Fucking
Listen,
just
gang.
rain to the high heavens on how much you love this
Listen,
movie.
gang. I got burnt on the Pharrell Williams Lego movie.
Honka
I
honka,
thought that was
Caleb.
going to be
Nice to see you.
unbelievable, and it was terrible, and it was not terrible, but it was a behind the music on Lego, and that's all it was. Terrible. Better Man was exactly what I was hoping for. The trailer is incredible. It really makes me so angry that people are calling it a flop, because quite frankly, it was so enjoyable from start to finish. It's full of heart. It's full of character. You completely like forget the fact that he's a chimpanzee after like 10 minutes. Like, you're so used to his character that it's a non-issue entirely. If you were a fan of Robbie Williams, if you are a fan of Take That, if you are a fan of All Saints, if you are a fan of Oasis, why does any of that matter? Go watch the film. But if you're a fan of any of those artists, go watch the film, because they really get into it, and he's really honest. He's really raw. I did a lot of Googling about the other people in the film that he talks about, just to see kind of what their reaction was. They're all behind him on this. They all gave him the green light to tell the story this way. It's, my God, it's so brilliant. It's so very Robbie Williams. It ends in the most classic Robbie Williams way, to the point where I was like, I can't wait to see this again. I'm actually upset that I haven't seen it again yet. It is a true musical. And all of the songs, unlike Joker 2, unlike some other biopics, all of the songs make sense. The pacing is perfect from start to finish. As they transition into each different song, it all makes sense in the timeline. It all makes sense in the way that they use his songs. Rock DJ is my favorite song and my favorite sequence in this film. It is a true musical number with dancing, with choreography, with outfit changes. It is so freaking brilliant. It is so much fun. Even if you don't care about Robbie Williams, even if you don't care about Take That, it is just an enjoyable, delightful film, full of heart, full of just raw honesty. I mean, again, we know he's got an ego, but he also has some other things going on, and you know, there's some turmoil there. There's some serious, you know, hard truths he had to come to terms with. I mean, look at that score. Look at that score. I don't understand why people are calling it a flop. It is so freaking,
because it's not making any money. That's the thing. It's not
which
making
is a
money.
real I mean, I wonder what it's doing overseas though. Like maybe here in America it's not, but I'm telling you guys, please go see this movie. It's not awful at all. If you like a biopic, if you like a musical, if you like something that's really raunchy and sassy and saucy, this is the film for you. I just absolutely adored it, and I cannot recommend it enough, honestly. And I understand that we all have different opinions. I understand that we all, you know, like different things, but I just, it was exactly what I was hoping for. The trailer tells you what you're going to get, and it was just delightful. It was really so wonderful, and it just makes me love Robbie Williams even more.
So I did look it up on what it has made. It's made 1.8 million here, but it's made about 12 million overseas.
Okay.
So about 14 million worldwide. It's made about, 6 million in the United Kingdom, which, to the shock of no one.
Yeah, that is kind of disappointing.
Germany is the next highest one. This is,
they love him in Germany.
The United States is the third most profitable country, and then the rest only have made about hundreds of thousands. But yeah,
again, it also makes me wonder how well it's been marketed in those different areas.
That's also fair.
But I'm telling you guys, I adored it. It was everything that I hoped that it would be. Again, classic Robbie Williams, full of ego, full of sass, but a lot of heart as well. So
Caleb is saying we're all monkeys. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. Okay. But Jose is hyped.
Yes, Jose.
Elite Easy E is saying Robbie Williams is not going to make a monkey out of me. Show me a Robbie Dupree biopic. Okay. I don't know who that is either.
Get on out there. Check it out.
Jose is saying maybe great review, Liz. But Caleb asked, hey, John, did you see that awful Until Dawn trailer? I saw bits of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. I'm actually not. Okay. I'm just going to say this about Until Dawn. Sidestep. But Until Dawn, I understand why fans are mad. If I played the game and I got that trailer for the overall, what they're doing, I'd be fucking pissed. I understand.
Tell us what's wrong with the trailer.
Why people are pissed. However, as someone who hasn't played the games, I'm not pissed. I'm intrigued because it sounds like a great concept. And I like David F. Sandberg as a director. But so do you know anything about Until Dawn, the game?
Nope.
It is essentially it's essentially Evil Dead but with a Wendigo. That's essentially, they're at like a ski lodge up in the mountains. It's like a snowy blizzard. They're stuck there. It's like a blizzard. And like, a Wendigo's attacking them. And then the whole thing is like, the whole basis of the game is like choices you make affect the storyline. Like, oh, this person lives, but this person dies. Well, it's going to go this way. If this person lives and this other person dies, then it's going to go this way. So that's what was like I don't want to say gimmick because I've heard it's a very good game, but that was kind of the thing that brought people in, kind of like the
Create
Walking
your own
Dead
adventure.
games.
I mean, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
And the problem with the trailer is essentially they're not in a ski lodge. They're not stuck in a blizzard. Pretty much everything that has made the game like the game is not here. The only thing is the only small basis of like it's like people stuck in a place, and it's more like Cabin in the Woods type of, not Cabin in the Woods, but like the trope, Cabin in the Woods, not the film itself. It's not meta.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, but what they do here is they take a video game mechanic and make a movie out of it. So what they're doing is making it a time loop. And so essentially every time they all die, everything resets and into a different horror genre, and they have to survive until dawn to get out of the time loop. All of them have to live until dawn to get out of the time loop. That's essentially, and the thing is, that's a really good idea for a movie. I mean, Happy Death Day kind of did something similar.
It makes me think of Happy Death Day, or Happy Death Day specifically. Yeah.
Happy Death Day a little bit, Groundhog Day, that kind of thing. Not Kill la Kill. All You Need Is Kill, which is what Edge of Tomorrow is based on. So I understand why fans are mad. I get it. I 100% get it. But as someone who's never played the game, I'm kind of excited to see the movie because I'm just based on the concept and the premise. It's just like, why not? Why are you making an adaptation of the game if you're not gonna adapt the game? That's the thing.
Maybe there's gonna be some time loop sequence where they're in a blizzard situation. I don't know, in a ski lodge. Well, I mean, I will say Ready Player One did the same thing, where while the movie was good, it was barely anything like the book itself. I adore the book. The book is incredible. I was super disappointed seeing the film. That being said, I still enjoyed the film. Like, it was one of those, like, if I had never read the books before, I would enjoy the film. But knowing what I know, it was a letdown in that regard. So who knows? Like, maybe, fans are disappointed, but maybe they're going to turn around and surprise everybody and still give you something decent.
Caleb is saying in the chat, Until Dawn looks like a mid-horror film, just not Until Dawn. Until Dawn is a horror game that switches horror genres, serial killers, and Wendigos. Don't call it Until Dawn, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of sidestepping into, that. But let's get back to the action with, back in action.
Oh, nice, John. Nice.
Flawless.
Good job.
Flawless
Beautiful.
segue.
Beautiful.
You watched Back in Action. Dan also did. He was going to try and show up for this one, but I think he's on the road.
And honestly, Dan, when Dan and I talked about it, he put it perfectly. He was like, it's a Netflix movie. And that's what it is. It's a Netflix movie. It's enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's one for the whole family, but like if you have like tweens or teens, it's okay. There are tweens and teens in the film. It's got some really good action sequences. We were talking about some good action in the chat here. I think it had some decent action shots, decent action sequences. It wasn't like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing.
That's the vibe I got from the trailer.
Well, it is. It's about a couple who are spies, but they're spies and who then became a couple. They know one another is a spy. They work together. They develop a relationship, then something happens where they kind of get like an easy out, and essentially just move on with their lives and start a family and put all of that behind them. Then of course, something happens where they get pulled back in. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. There were some other, aside from Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx, there were some other noteworthy actors and actresses in the film. Again, I thought the action was decent. The mission was one that you understood, whereas, sometimes you watch like a Mission Impossible or some of these other like more fantastical action shots, and you kind of feel like I'm not 100% following the tech or the mission or what's going on. Whereas this one's very straightforward. They, stole a piece of tech. Everybody's been looking for it for 15 years. They end up, finding out where these people are, and they look at, hunt them down for the tech, that kind of thing, and they try to get themselves out of that situation. They also set it up for a potential sequel. There was a post-credit scene. So we'll see if that happens. I think it will, because it seems to be doing fairly well on
All right, that's
Netflix.
fair.
So I would imagine there will be a sequel. The whole thing throughout the movie was Cameron Diaz comes from a family of spies, and they keep
Okay.
referring to her mother throughout the film, to the point I watched it with my best friend, to the point where my best friend was like, I can't wait to see who the mother is. I knew who it was because we had kind of talked about this film prior to seeing it. But it kind of sets you up along those lines for the second film. Now we're trying to find out, we want to know who her father is, because now they're going to try and bring her father into it as well. So if you enjoy an easy action watch, I would say check it out. Again, it was enjoyable, nothing exciting to write home about. Certainly not, again, as Dan put it, he was like 15 years ago, this would be in a theatrical release. But now it's just, another Netflix action flick.
Unfortunately, Rotten Tomatoes is being a dickhead. But you can kind of see that it got 23% in critics and what was the other one? 63% in audience scores. But we're just going to close out of that.
So again, if you've got an
Rotten
evening where
Tomatoes
you're
is
like,
being
what should we watch?
dinghorns.
It's an easy watch, nothing too terrible. I mean, it did have its cheesy moments, like it would, because it they do have a family, they have younger kids, but other than that, it's all right.
I mean,
see Better Man. It's so much better.
Yeah, go watch Better Man. Don't watch. Well, I mean, you can watch Wolfman if you want.
Yeah, go watch Wolfman too.
But Back in Action. I mean, you don't have to leave your house for that one, so that's something.
You don't have to put on pants.
You don't got to put on pants. I'm not wearing pants right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm wearing pants.
John.
No, Hugo Millie would like that if she was still here. But maybe Elite Easy. But no, unfortunately, I am wearing pants. I'm actually wearing Charlie Brown pants right now.
Oh boy.
You get under the hood, guys. Anyway, sorry to disappoint. I am wearing pants. I'm not wearing underwear, if that's a consolation.
Okay.
But I am I'm not wearing socks
answering
either,
questions no one asked, but all right.
But you got to wait for your Patreon for the foot pics. Anyway, so now we're going on to DCU Daily. What you all really want to come here for. So first things first, we have James Gunn talking about the Suicide Squad again, talking about continuity, because that's what we really care about, James Gunn. But so James Gunn, apparently somebody asked if the Suicide Squad is canon to the DCU. Only Creature Commandos Forward is pure canon. The Suicide Squad has a lot of consistencies, but I think of it as an imperfect memory. That's not what you said like 6 months ago when you were saying Peacemaker was canon, but like James Gunn is like, he's changed his mind more than insert joke here that I can't think of right now.
I think he keeps coming from a place of like, if it works, then we'll do it. So yeah, while he wants things to be canon, if someone gives him a good script and it makes sense, then he's like, yeah, we'll go off a little bit. Like, why not? And that's okay too. As long as he keeps entertaining us and he keeps surprising us, I'm not mad about
entertained. Anyway. Caleb being like, James Gunn doesn't sleep, to be fair.
I'm a little concerned for him.
But yeah, sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Elite Easy, Greedy Tomatoes, and Mark Kana, LMAO. He can say that events from Suicide Squad and Peacemaker Season 1 happened, but not necessarily from the same characters. Yeah, that's fine, but he said everything from Peacemaker is canon except the Justice League cameo. So,
Yeah. Well, he was referring to Season 1. Season 2 moving forward, we'll see what happens.
We need Starro for the Justice League later. Now, it's entirely possible. Well, that's what Elite Easy E said. No sleep till Metropolis. Thank you, TC. We need Starro for the... I mean, I'd like to see it. I mean, maybe like he came from an alien race of them and, there's more out there, but he didn't know it. And I was just happy flying among the stars. R.I.P. Starro. And then the Doctor just had to be a fucking gross asshole. But I will say Peter Capaldi did great in that role, even though he was a fucking cretin. But got to get out of that typecasting. But yeah, so just our boy reminding keep on keeping on with the reminding us on how much the canon is changing, the world is changing. All right, cool. uh, Next up, going on from Suicide Squad to Superman, apparently at the Bengaluru Comic Con, I'm probably mispronouncing that, I apologize, they had this really cool looking like standee
Nice.
for the Comic Con, so that's pretty cool. That's something. Like, I know
It's pretty
maybe,
big, yeah.
yeah, it looks awesome. I like the 3D kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Fun fact, I used to make those, so that's it's a lot of work right there.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a ton, but yeah, like the hype is real. Looks
It does, it
gigantuous.
looks huge,
Definitely
yeah.
amazing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Not much to say there, but then we got our boy David Krumholtz reacting to the news that he was finally cast as Zor-El in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Woman of Tomorrow spelled wrong. DC Film News, get on your shit. Joining the DC universe is a mind-blowing privilege. Representing the symbol of hope in Supergirl as Zor-El is a personal triumph. My gratitude is overflowing now.
Cute.
Like those drawers did. Is he talking about like underpants? Or I mean, if he's talking about the bulge, then Dan is just gonna come rocketing in, like, because we know how much he
Dan's
loves
gonna
the
keep that
bulge.
quote on every feed from now on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that's really awesome. It's really
Yeah.
nice to see like someone actually, fucking giving a shit.
No,
Crazy.
100%. Yeah, I think that's really great.
But I'm excited to see it. Like, I know, because I've seen just way too many examples of like comedians and funny actors and like guys who aren't necessarily comedians, they're just normally funny.
Yeah, he usually plays very dry. Yeah.
Giving really great performances. Like John Goodman was a big one of like
Oh
in like
gosh.
10 Cloverfield Lane, where he was like, bro was on Roseanne, and then he gave like this horrifyingly
Terrifying.
frightening
Yeah.
performance in that movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like comedy actors can definitely reach inside themselves for like going beyond of what they're known as. And he's not really like a comedy actor per se, but he is like more like, yeah, I mean, I've seen episodes of Numbers. I watched the Santa Claus as a
Yeah,
kid.
he's
I've
a
seen
good straight
Oppenheimer,
man. Yeah.
but I like, I like that idea. Like, and I also like the idea this is, the idea, because I mean, David Krumholtz said many times that he wanted to play the Thing in Fantastic Four. He couldn't get there, but he's like, you know what? It like works because he is Jewish, and like the Thing was made by Jack Kirby, and Jack Kirby put a lot of himself into that, and as a Jewish man, put a lot of himself into that character. And the Thing is one of those characters that is like portrayed as Jewish, like in universe, like prominently.
Yeah.
So I think that's like and that's why he kind of wanted to play that role so much. But Krumholtz still playing characters that where the initial character of Superman was created by Jews is kind of a nice touch, I guess. So I think like he's also viewing it from that point of view. And I think
Sure.
and I like that a lot. And I like, there is the idea of, I know like specifically Zor-El wasn't created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, but I feel like it's kind of like a nice like moment. I feel like that's what he was kind of thinking maybe at that point. So I think that's cool for him, and Jewish representation, my guys. But I like that. I like that was just like the first thing, because I remember him. He was talking. He's like, I campaigned for this role. I really wanted to play the Thing. I thought it was important to who I am and my culture. But like him, like being Zor-El, but he's like saying DC Universe is great. I'm like part of this family, these characters that are a symbol of hope for a lot of people. I mean, I believe the name El comes from like Hebrew, like folklore or something like that, or like the Hebrew language. I forget what it was. Maybe somebody who more noteworthy than me can say that in the comments. But I just think that that's really cool. But I think I'm excited for this. Unfortunately I don't know Emily Beecham that well. I'm sure she'll also do a great job. I'm sure Millie Alcock will do. I'm just talking about David Crumholtz so much is because finally an actor I know that isn't just Jason Momoa as Lobo. So it's like, hey, I know who David Crumholtz is. But so that's pretty awesome. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for because Zor-El is in a character that doesn't get touched upon a lot. So I think this is really awesome. And I'm still not super excited for this movie, but I'm reasonably hopefully I'm gonna get there at some
Again,
point,
I
where
feel
I'm
like
just
we need to see just with anything, we need to see a trailer to give us an idea of what to expect. So I'm excited for the cast. I'm excited for the enthusiasm of the cast. But until I see a trailer, I really can't pass any type of judgment here.
And then Caleb saying Tom King, help. Yeah, to be fair. What was Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems? What about Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems? What? I don't know what you're talking about, Caleb.
Maybe that was a comedian being a straight man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, he was still funny in that movie. He was come on, that wasn't a serious role. I mean, it was more serious than him in Grown Ups 2, but it wasn't it wasn't Daniel Day-Lewis.
I did forget to mention that our boy Kyle Chandler is back in action. So just to tie it in with a little DC news, he is also in that film.
Yeah.
Okay.
TC, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, David Krumholtz just showing love and appreciation for what he has planned for the future and being a part of the DC universe. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so now keeping track with the Supergirl stuff. Apparently Supergirl is confirmed to be in Superman. Now, I remember somebody saying that, James Gunn mentioned this at Comic-Con, but I have no recollection of this. And considering we've done this show for over a year, well, me being a part of it, I don't remember that exactly, but I mean, maybe somebody else tell me in the comments. But yeah, apparently Supergirl will be in the film.
Yeah, I think there was
thoughts?
comments about it. I think at one point somebody was talking about maybe in an end credit scene, or the end of the film. There has definitely been mention of it before. But again, I don't recall exactly when or where, but there is going to be some kind of tie-in that will then lead us into Supergirl. So, cool. Again, I like stuff like that. I like it when they tie stuff together. So that's fine with me.
I feel like this was
as Hosey says, just another reason to be excited for sure. Hosey, is it Hosey or is it Jose? Please let me know in the chat because I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it properly.
So apparently in this one, so it says here Alcock was picked as Supergirl almost a year ago and will first appear in Gunn's Superman movie. Now, again, none of this was official from Gunn. I don't believe it was, but whatever they decide to do, I hope it's not a big role because people have already been on James Gunn's case about you already have 400 fucking superheroes and supporting characters in this movie. What the fuck you doing? But at
the same time, if that's the universe, if there's all these superheroes in the area, why wouldn't you expect to run into them every now and again? That's always been something that's bothered me. Even in for example, Avengers Endgame, when they're pulling in all of the heroes, okay, shouldn't the X-Men be showing up? Granted, we've never really made the connection before, but if we're pulling every single known hero,
you wanted more?
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? So that doesn't bother me at all. That makes perfect sense to me because what else are these superheroes doing? Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but I would imagine
Yeah, where the
you're going
fuck
to
was
run into
Daredevil?
one another every so often. So it just makes sense to me that they would be doing that.
You know, where's Daredevil? Where's Luke Cage? They could have helped.
I'm
Just
saying.
saying. Hosea. How many people were we introduced to in the Harry Potter films? Yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
don't
do Hosea.
yeah, I don't know. It's just like people complaining for complaints sake. I know
Yeah.
people are just complaining to complain and all that and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. I understand that, but it's still like it's just like how can you fucking judge what the capacity is in their roles in this movie? Because it's like bros and brosifs. Like the movie hasn't come out yet. We don't know their roles yet. They could
Right.
probably they'll probably have a point, but they're probably gonna have like what? Maybe not a lot of screen time. Maybe like 5 to 15 minutes
Right.
of screen time. So it's like
Little bit here, little bit there. I mean, again, we did the same thing with the Penguin and the Batman, and then the Penguin ended up getting its own show. So it would make sense. Like we've got Lanterns coming out, we've got Supergirl coming out. It would make sense that some of those characters would be introduced in this film as a way to kind of again to connect the dots, to get people excited for the upcoming projects. It all makes sense to me. I don't understand why people are having such a hard time with it. Maybe it's because it's something that we're not used to. We don't see this very often, certainly not from DC at all. But again, it would make sense, gang, if they're all operating in the same atmosphere and the same planet in the same time. Why wouldn't they run into one another? Like, hey, you're a superhero, I'm a superhero. Let's chat sometime. Like, even just grabbing coffee or a shawarma, Marvel. Why not? So I just, I don't. Again, let's everybody calm down until we see the film. How about that?
yeah, like I'm sure they're not gonna. I mean, even James Gunn said it's not gonna be like a cameo fest. So I trust him on that. And even though he keeps changing his story for what the continuity is, outside of that, I believe like him being strict about that. So whatever that is, I'm just curious in regards to what her role is. I just hope it's not anything major. Just like maybe we hear at the end of the movie, like, hey, they found a pod in the Arctic, and then you just cut to her like in a fucking case, and just in the rocket, or just like, oh shit. And that's it. So that's whatever they decide to do. I'm
Yeah.
curious, but I just hope it doesn't impede the movie.
Well,
And
and again,
so
here's Hosea saying any new universe, any movie, even you're going to be introduced to new characters. We would hope so. And again, Gunn has historically said he's not going back to the same well. He's not giving us the origin story. He's not giving us the characters
right.
that we have seen 100 freaking times. He's trying to open up the universe and expand and introduce us to new characters and to smaller roles. So it just makes this is what he's been telling us all along. So why wouldn't we be doing? Why wouldn't we be getting exactly what he said he was going to do? So here we
Well,
are.
Hosea was saying, well, what are we going to see the destruction of Krypton in this or Supergirl? Now that's
I don't think we're going to see it in Superman.
interesting.
I think in Supergirl, because again, where else would her parents be? Like they're supposed to be orphaned from
Right.
this planet. I would say there's going to be flashbacks, not even necessarily the destruction of Krypton, because again, been there, done that. We've seen it a couple of different times now. But I would imagine there's going to be flashbacks because again, obviously, where else would we find her parents? So we'll see what happens with that. But I don't expect to see anything of the like in Superman itself.
Right. So I don't think I agree. I don't think we're gonna get anything in Superman. I mean James Gunn has said we're gonna hit right into the action. We're gonna hit right into we're gonna get right into there. So it's like, all right, he's like, once we hit go, we hit fucking go. So I'm gonna believe him on that. I'm gonna say, all right, here we go. We're gonna start this thing. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, I don't think we're going to see the destruction of Krypton in any way, shape, or form, at least in Superman. But what we are going to get for the future of DC are Elseworld stories. And James Gunn has recently confirmed that they're working on a separate intro title for DC Elseworlds projects. And I think that's pretty awesome. I think that is definitely helpful for to help separate and differentiate for the general audience, because like the general audience has always been just I don't they're not stupid. It's just like they
Well,
don't know. They're
if
not
you're not, if
nerds.
you don't read the comics, if you don't follow every iteration, if you've not seen every film and every TV
Right.
show, I think it makes sense that you would want to separate it and just kind of give people a heads up that like, hey, this isn't in the same universe. This isn't in the same world. You're not going to see the same actors. You're not going to see the same characters. I think that makes perfect sense. Whether or not anybody will understand that who doesn't know DC stories or lore outside of what the occasional time they stop in the theater is another story, but at least this will give people some indication that hey, this is separate from that. So
Right.
I think
I mean,
that's
somebody was mentioning like in terms of like general audience not understanding like DC and not even just like Elseworld stuff. It's just like DC and Marvel. Like I remember there was an interview when they were doing Deadpool and Wolverine where Kevin Feige was like, somebody thanked me for Blue Beetle. It's like people don't know. It's like, yeah, they don't. And I think this will help. Will people still probably not understand? Probably.
Listen,
But
I have friends that watched Big Bang Theory and didn't know Stan Lee was a real person. They thought he was a character created specifically for that show. Not to mention some other like even like Stephen Hawking, for goodness sakes. So you know, you'd be surprised how ignorant people are about certain subject matters. So
right.
You know, again, this is kind of why he has to do this to help, you know, separate the two.
I think it'll be really awesome. We're getting like a very simple logo for you know, DC Studios as we're getting the golden age, like Superman breaking out of the chains, and then we get Flip. So we have that. Do you think we're gonna get like a really long sequence? Not really long, but like maybe instead of like 3 seconds, it's like 10 seconds showcasing like Elseworlds or anything like that?
Maybe
Or
for the initial project, I don't know. I mean, I it's really hard to speculate something like that. I think he will want to differentiate and show people that this is something new and different for sure. At least for the first project. I don't know that he'll do it consistently every time after the fact, but again, I mean, just again, trying to separate it at all makes perfect sense to me in whatever way we get it. So
yeah, I think whatever we do get, I think it'll be really cool. I think it'd be really awesome to get like something related to Gotham by Gaslight, because Gotham by Gaslight was the first official comic that had the DC Elseworlds like logo on it, I believe. So that was the first official DC. So like something like that would be like kind of a wink and a nod to like DC history, because that's literally what the DC Studios logo is. It is it's remembering the Bullet logo from the 70s, 80s, and 90s before it was changed in the 2000s. So,
yeah,
I think something like that would be like, oh, kind of, I mean, look at the actual DC Studios logo. It's to the golden age Superman where he looked like he did in the 30s and 40s. So I think that's definitely a really cool thing to do. I think that would be kind of nice. But whatever they decide to do, I think it'll look great. And
yeah. Well, so just before we leave off this subject, I just want to go back to just some geeky guys super chat that we had. He wanted to know, what villains do you guys want to see in Corn and Sweat's Superman take on if they make sequels? So he said, I want to see him take on Mongol, Brainiac, and Darkseid. So what do you think on that, John?
I think they should avoid Darkseid because they already did that with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they should be avoiding New Gods for the time being. New Gods should come in way later because they're too big of a too big of a villain, too big of an idea to come in this early. So they should hold off on Darkseid. If Superman does well and they want to make a sequel, then Brainiac should be the villain, because we have gotten way fucking too much Lex Luthor types, and I want to fucking see Brainiac. Brainiac is the next most popular Superman villain, and the fact that we have not gotten him in live action, we almost got him various times, yet we haven't gotten him yet, is just mind-boggling to me. Mongol could be interesting, but I think you would have to introduce the whole Black Mercy business and War World and, for the man who has everything, like that story. I think that would be a little bit much, but like maybe you could integrate him decently into this. But I would take like if like Brainiac, then Mongol, then Darkseid. I would like to see honestly, yeah, it's mainly Brainiac. Like I'd like to see Brainiac. Um if there were any other, I can't really, I like to see Metallo. I think Metallo could be a lot of fun. I mean, Parasite is a great one. That's, that was for Superman Earth 1 and, the start of the Tomorrowverse and all that. I think that would be
Yep,
really
Caleb is
cool.
saying Metallo. Hosea is saying anyone but Zod. I'm so over Zod. Yeah,
Zod is another one
100%.
that they need to. It's either Lex
100%.
Luthor or Zod is one of
Right,
the only two.
right.
Like
Again,
pretty
I
much,
may
it's
not know
like
DC, but I know those characters because I've seen them about 100
like
times. Yeah.
Superman, the first Superman, we get Lex Luthor. For Superman 2, we get General Zod. For Superman 3, we get Lex Luthor in everything but name because they couldn't get Gene Hackman again. Superman 4, we got Lex Luthor again. For Superman Returns, we got Lex Luthor again. For Man of Steel, we got General Zod again. It's like he has more than just two fucking villains. He has a whole pantheon of great villains to choose from. So just fucking use one of those. Like, goddamn, like it's not fucking hard. Yeah, Doomsday is another one. Honestly, you know who would be great? I don't know if the general audiences could handle this. I would say wait until like Superman 3 or 4 if we get that far. But like Mr. Mixia Spitlick would be fucking amazing. But I don't know how the hell you would make that work on screen. I
Yeah,
would
Caleb brought that up as well.
try.
Yeah.
But that would be really awesome. I think we've seen Bizarro a little bit too much, mainly on the TV screens. I would like to see him in maybe a big budget feature, but we have gotten him a bunch, so maybe try to, avoid him as well. But I'd like to see a magic based villain, maybe like Felix Faust or Eclipso or something like that, because like I'd like to see, Superman's invulnerability to magic. I know it's not like a major thing. It's not like, but that's like the only other major weakness for Superman because like the idea of magic is unpredictable. So that's why Superman is just like everybody else, where they're weak to it, who don't know things very well, because it would introduce magic into the DCU. And I know, I mean, we've kind of got that with Cersei, but like not like totally. She kind of just shot pink laser beams around. But I would like to see that, and because that's like a weakness we haven't seen that much of. We've gotten kryptonite a billion trillion times, but we haven't really seen that. And I think magic would be an interesting way to showcase this Superman, whatever they decide to do in the future. But I think to showcase like the weakness that I think James Gunn is focusing on in the movie, at the very least, from what we've seen. So
cool.
I think doing smaller villains would be really cool too. Like Atomic Skull, and like maybe not have them like in like a major villain, but maybe like a cold open, like he's like robbing a bank or like they're terrorizing the city, and it's like, all right, I got to take you in, Atomic Skull, let's go, and like that kind of thing. Just like cutesy kind of shit, but like just fucking stay away from Lex Luthor, stay away from General Zod. I swear to God, if we get a sequel to this and it's General Zod, I'm fucking flying over to James Gunn's house and I'll just be like,
again,
what the fuck are you doing?
I don't see how we would, because he keeps saying he's not going to go back to that stuff. He's not going to do an origin story, and Zod only makes sense in an origin story type fashion. So I don't think that we will, thankfully. Like, we've been there, we've done that.
Yeah. Toyman could be cool. That would be cool. But yeah, I don't think I just don't know to Darkseid. Not, it's just way too fucking quick. Like, and Darkseid's more of a Justice League level threat. I know Brainiac can be a Justice League threat. I mean, we saw that in Kill the Justice League, but like that sucks. So we want to avoid that as much as we can. But I feel like Brainiac, it's just like the thing with Brainiac is that he's so closely tied to Superman's origin of like he's the reason why Krypton exploded. And why Superman got fucking yeeted out of there. So like, I'd like to see that. Like, there's the idea of, you know, there's the idea of like the personal thing of like him being a Kryptonian and Brainiac taking that away from him and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I just think that would be really awesome to see.
Yep.
But you know, anything you have to say, Liz?
No, again, these would all be new characters for me, so I'm for it. I'd like to be educated and learn more about the world overall. So, and again, to also like talk with you guys about it, about not, the writers did their characters justice, the actors did their characters justice, but we're just gonna have to wait and see what Gunn does.
Yeah. Whatever we do get in terms of the future, I think we're going to get a lot of great stuff. I think we're going to have like a lot of, I just, I think James Gunn is, I think he said like, we'll play it safe for Lex Luthor, fine. But then with sequels, I think we're going to, go beyond, go like than what we've seen before. And I think Brainiac might be one of those things. I hope. But, whatever we're going to get lots of Superman punching. We're going to get lots of Superman flying. But speaking of flying, we look ahead to Flight Risk.
Hey now, you're on fire tonight, John. Good job, buddy. Good job.
So
well done.
So Mark Wahlberg, I'm a Pilot is our next movie of next week.
For the first time ever pulling off an accent, yeah.
Well, I don't know if pulling
for
off.
About
he's
5
doing
minutes.
One.
For about 5
I don't know
minutes.
If he's pulling it off, but like
can
Mark Wahlberg hold the accent? Probably not, but
it's his first attempt. That's all we'll say.
I love how the tagline is "Y'all need a pilot." Like, guys, come on now.
I mean, it's directed by Mel Gibson, so
Hosea is. Although to be fair, Hosea is offering Superman versus P. Diddy, which would definitely be very short fight.
Yeah.
I think Superman would break his no-kill rule for that one.
I have things to say, but I'm not going to say them. So moving
let's
Flight
moving
Risk.
on. But Flight Risk. I know it looks weird. I know it looks hokey. I know, like, Mark.
I'm excited about it. I think it looks good. I'm
Mark
looking
Wahlberg with
to
that
it.
goddamn haircut.
I will be seeing it.
I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. Here's the thing when it comes to this movie. This is my, this is my like quote unquote like conspiracy theory, I guess. Not really conspiracy theory, but like my theory in regards to Flight Risk is Mel Gibson did this movie. This is very unlike the rest of his other work. It looks like this was supposed to be like a Gerard Butler movie, but then they like didn't, and then it's like now we get this. It's like, okay, fine. But what I'm guessing is that I don't know if it's the same production company. I think Mel Gibson did this movie because he's gonna use the profits from this to make Passion of the Christ 2. Like, he only did this movie so he could do that, because that's coming out next year. So, we're getting Resurrection of the Christ.
Make a Passion of the Christ 2?
Because it's Resurrection of the Christ. It's
Easter? Okay.
Yeah, this time it's Easter.
That should be this. Oh my God, I would die.
This time it's Easter.
That's the only way they're getting me to see that film, is if they do that tagline. Oh my God.
But Elite gag me with a spoon. Yeah.
Caleb says he can't wait for Titanic 2.
Titanic 2 already came out like fucking 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
We already got a Titanic 3. So like,
wild.
But yeah, Flight Risk. This looks
wild stuff.
At the very least, I'm going to have an enjoyable time of Mark Wahlberg trying to act. So, like, you know what? I'll get that. And this looks like a fun time.
No one cares if he acts. We just want to see him.
Yeah, and I like Topher. The thing is, I like Topher Grace. Like, I think he's, like, genuinely a good actor. And, I like him in this movie. I don't know. Will it be good? Who knows? But I'm still kind of stoked for it.
Looks good. It looks good.
It looks like
Hopefully
a
the
lot of
pacing
fun.
is decent. Yeah, it looks good to me. I will be seeing it. I will be in the theater, and it looks good. It looks like it'll get a high popcorn rating for sure, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, damn you, fucking Rotten
Titanic too. I
Tomatoes.
love it.
Yeah, we haven't gotten anything as of right now. Fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. It's Mark Wahlberg. I'm a pilot.
Yeah, TC24 is saying the only thing that doesn't look good is Mark's hairline. I'm actually shocked because I feel like this is the first time Mark's ever decided to like play a character. Like his hair is always the same, his accent is always the same. This is the first time where he decided to be like, oh, I guess I should do what actual actors do. Not that I don't like any
Maybe
of his
it's
films.
just he really likes Mel Gibson and he wanted
I
to
like
do that for
well,
him,
maybe
so.
Mel Gibson said to him, like, I need you to take this a little more seriously. Who knows? But
I mean, they're both like super Christian buddies now, so like
that's true. Yeah.
So there's that.
And they both did did said some pretty foul things in the past. So
yeah,
they can bond over their racism. But anyway,
well, anti-Semitism, it's different.
Well, I don't know if Marx was anti-Semitism. It was definitely racism.
Okay.
Moving along.
Whatever,
I will be seeing this movie. I'll let you guys know
what's the formula for that fucking hairline.
I love it.
Great stuff. But like, okay, I'm gonna take this off screen before I scar our audience further. Oh God, what did Caleb? The Happening is cinema, so might give this a watch. And TC was like, that's foul, Caleb. Elite Easy, cover your eyeballs. Don't worry. My beard stroking will calm you down. Don't worry. I got you. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Shh. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. All right. There we go. Now we calm the audience. We don't have to see the disgusting hairline anymore. But that is it for today, guys. We enjoyed this journey with you. Not a ton of news today, even though we did get to like almost 90 minutes, so that's pretty good. But we have a ways of like stretching this out. But we have to. Ron came in the chat last minute. That hairstyle. Marky Mark sucks, and Ron is like Titanic 2 is a god tier sequel wish list. And no Dan bulges? ? Elite Easy.
I mean, he got his bulge in the intro. We're good. Well, don't worry. We'll never get rid of the bulge intro.
We're never gonna get rid of the bulge. If you want to see any other bulges, you got to wait till the OnlyFans of Oh So Curious. So
yep, Patreon.
Sharknado is also peak. But anyway, Hosea, Elite Easy, Caleb with the honka. Ray J, Ron. I apologize if I didn't note you guys before. I tried my best to go back and forth. TC fucking threatening Caleb over his statement of saying Lord of the Rings is terrible and overrated. But Marcana and Hosea and all you guys, I think Antonio was here for a hot sec.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, thank you.
Just some geeky guy. Thank you so much.
We thank all of you guys for a wonderful, and if you're watching us post live, we'll try to get those fan comments back, so it's an incentive for you guys commenting after the live shows. But guys, like more. We got 23 people watching, 14 likes. Come on, pump up those likes. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Not cool. Yeah.
But keep commenting, live or unlive. Keep commenting. Keep subscribing. Come on, we know the numbers, guys. We see you. I like Jake Sully and Way of Water. I see you now, but less cringy. We see you, so try to give us more subscribbles. But we thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. We do. But we'll see you tomorrow for another DCU Daily and, whatever it is in the future. MCU Weekly possibly at some point this week, but we'll see. But until then, see y'all later.